Good evening. I'd like to call to order the Village of Gurnee Planning and Zoning Board for this Wednesday, July 15th, 2026. A roll call, please.
Blair.
Here.
Campbell.
Here.
Nordentoff.
Here.
Paff.
Here.
Morgan.
Here.
Stevens.
Here.
Sula.
Right, we're all here. If everyone would please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, the first item on the agenda is the opportunity for public comment for things that are on the agenda this evening, but excluding the public hearing. So it's not time to talk about the Crescent and Green Bay project, but anything else on the agenda, if anyone has a comment. There being none, I'll close the floor to the public.
Can I,
think you do have.
Oh, I'm sorry.
so can I clarify, is this the time to ask about the second sign? Is that a public comment that this would be appropriate this time, or the second sign on Grand? Is that when this public comment would be?
Oh, yes. Okay.
Okay, so. And my second question is that if somebody public comments about the sign on Grand, can later on the same person public comment about Crescent?
Yes.
Okay, those are my two questions. I'm not public commenting, I'm just clarifying. Okay, thank you.
So this
Thank
is
you.
for someone else? This is for someone? Okay, all right. I'm reading this for someone that's sick,
Okay,
okay?
could you
I
please tell us your
respect-
name?
My name is Debbie Hazelton. I'm at 1601 Belle Plaine.
Thank you.
And it says, I respectfully oppose additional and taller signage for the Trio Car Wash. One of the objectives of the Gurnee East Community Group is beautification and environmental enhancement of the East Grand Corridor, and I do not believe the proposed signage aligns with that objective. Gurnee's revitalization strategies for the East Grand Avenue calls for the streetscape improvements and more cohesive signage to improve the corridor's visual identity and attract economic growth. The car wash building itself is already very prominent and visible from great distances. Many of the neighbors can even see the building from their backyards. I do not believe the additional signage will enhance this business's visibility, but it will distract from the overall appearance and consumer appeal of the East Grand Corridor. Thank you very much for your time.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone else care to make a comment? If not,
I'm not sure. So for the one on Crescent, is that a car wash that's being added right now, or is the car wash already there and you're just trying to determine if that's going to be Gurnee or somewhere else?
as I said before, we'll have a separate opportunity to talk about the Crescent and Green Bay project.
Okay, so this is probably that one then?
Excuse me?
So this would be that one? So it'd be off of Green Bay, or are we thinking of a different one?
No.
Oh, is that? Oh, okay.
Okay, the floor is not closed to the public. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes that were, of the minutes for the meeting that was held back on the 1st of July. I had noticed one change.
There is a problem.
There is a problem. For paragraph number 7, the opening is indicating another topic.
Yeah, we'll get that fixed.
Okay, so does anyone have any other changes? If not, a motion to approve as amended would be in order.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Campbell, second by
Second.
Mr. Paff. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay. If anyone else has phones that aren't silenced, if you could please silence them. All right, next item on the agenda is a minor sign exception for the Trio Car Wash located at 3419 Grand Avenue. Shannon?
Thank you, Chairman Sula. Mr. Jeff Barmuller of North Shore Sign Company, on behalf of Graham Enterprise Incorporated for Trio Car Wash, requests a minor sign exception to increase the number of monument signs from one sign to 2 signs within the EGG East Grand Gateway Overlay District. Mr. Barmuller is here to discuss this topic. Oh, and also the owner, Mr. Wente.
Hi, I'm Jeff Barmuller with North Shore Sign Company, representing the owners, Graham Enterprises. I have the Senior Vice President of Graham Enterprises with us today to answer any questions you may have. Basically, all we're asking to do, it was the business's decision to move the main ID sign that is now located on the corner of Lawrence and Grand into the middle of their property. Once the car wash was completed and the landscaping was put in and the bank of vacuums that border basically Grand Avenue or the sidewalk, we determined that cars that are coming eastbound on Grand were not able to see that sign. And by the time they got to the sign, it was too late to make a turn into the car wash if they didn't see the car wash. So that was the main driver of this particular situation, is relocating the sign. Then what we determined was the sign position that the main ID now is at, that we should have an entrance sign for the traffic that is westbound on Grand. I'm sure you've all been there during rush hour, both morning and evening. That's a 5-lane with the center lane turn lane, and it backs up to Green Bay Road. And Lawrence being the only entrance into the car wash, for safety purposes, we decided that a low-rise 4-foot sign would be appropriate for the entrance into the car wash. And that is what we are here for today, is to get approval for that 4-foot high sign directing people into the car wash, mostly from westbound Grand Avenue. Does anyone have any questions at this time that I can field? Any comments?
Go ahead, Dan.
So from what I'm seeing, there is the opportunity to move the current sign, which I don't disagree with. It is not visible based on the vacuums and the landscaping. Okay. But then the other portion of adding the additional sign, even if it's approved, quote unquote, at forfeit, it still gives you the ability to put in, by right, the same 12-foot high sign, number one. Number two, going westbound, because I have the opportunity to, I'm on this road every single solitary day, east and west. Going westbound, 4-foot sign at rush hour, you're not going to see that sign. You don't see that for an entrance sign, you're not going to see that. There's one entrance into the facility on Lawrence, and you can see the trio sign, because there are 3 trio signs on the building, east, north, and west. I don't see how the additional sign benefits the property or me as a consumer. If I don't see it already, I'm not going to see it when there's traffic coming towards me from the east.
Well, my only comment there would be that on occasion where there's cars that are not blocking that entrance sign, it will provide that view for the westbound traffic to know that they need to make that left-hand turn across those eastbound lanes into Lawrence in order to get into the car wash, rather than possibly newcomers to the area not knowing that there's not another street on the eastbound, or excuse me, on the east side of the car wash to turn into. So this is really their one and only opportunity. And if we can get a small percentage of people seeing that sign, we feel that that's going to be a benefit.
Yeah.
And-
It's
and to your-
it's one entrance, Lawrence hard corner, so I don't see it.
Yeah, and
Thank you, Chair.
Yeah, to your point on the 12-foot, I saw there where it does theoretically allow for a 12-foot sign. That's not our intention. we will not do that. We will do just the 4-foot sign, and if you want to write that into the ordinance, we would be, more than welcome. We would more than welcome that.
Thank you.
If I can jump in here, I mean, I totally understand and agree with the proposal to move the existing sign to make it more visible. I'm not at all in favor of the precedent of having another monument sign. So that's my statement.
Is there an option for a directional sign on the property?
Are you speaking to like an on-site, just directing folks who are on the
Like,
site?
it says,
Excuse me, this would not. so
Excuse
this-
me. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
So the reason why this would not be considered a directional sign is because directional signs, the max for a directional sign, which would not have to have a minor sign exception, is 3 by 3. And because they are going 4 by 3, they have increased the directional sign. So if they were able to do a 3 by 3 sign, that would be approvable without even having to come up here. And that would be something that they could consider. However, because they went over the max for directional sign, which does not need to even come here, this is why they came here. So the 4-foot by 3-foot is over the max, but if it is approved for a minor sign exception, then they would be able to have a 12-foot high sign.
But there are 2 directional signs on the property now, are there not?
Yes,
Lawrence.
there are 2 that are on Lawrence.
Yes.
That you don't see those until you make your turn onto Lawrence. If you miss Lawrence,
Yes.
then you miss the car wash.
Dave?
Yeah, thank you. I don't know that I'm necessarily compelled to move forward with the second, because, I mean, we're dealing with only 400 feet of frontage, and normally we're looking at 1,000 feet of frontage typically to even consider a second monument sign. I do understand the reason to want to move it to capture that eastbound traffic. The westbound traffic, in my personal opinion, cannot miss this place. The east side of the building is one giant sign, and so I'm less inclined to support it for those reasons. Okay. Thank you.
Ed?
My other commissioners have pretty much expressed my opinion on it. Moving the main sign, yeah, if you want to, yes. However, I've noticed that I was going eastbound. If you move that sign over to where you want to put it, you got trees and stuff still blocking the sign. It makes it difficult to see that sign, would be difficult to see that sign as well. So I don't know if it's going to enhance it, but I have no problem moving it there if you want to. But if we don't, I don't want to have the ability to put a 12-foot sign later on for that entranceway there. So
it seems like the intended results can be accomplished within the code, within the directional signage allowance that's already there.
I have nothing more to add.
Okay. All right, on this particular matter, we have approval or denial authority, and we need to approve the relocation.
For relocation, Shannon, that does not require a minor sign exception, correct?
For relocation?
Right, for the relocation of their initial sign further up Grand Avenue?
No.
No, it does not.
No.
Okay, so the only matter that we really vote on is whether
It's
or
just
not-
the yes,
for the
sir.
additional, okay.
Yes, sir.
So we need a motion.
May I interject real quick? I had mentioned it earlier. Would it be possible that in order to get your support for this 4-foot sign, that you write into the ordinance that we would not be able to come back at any time in the future to install anything taller? Because it seems like there's a lot of people that are concerned that this would allow a second 12-foot sign. It's not our intention.
Well, the issue is a second sign period, because we only allow one monument sign per 1,000 linear feet.
Correct. No, I understand that.
Well, and I think you're hearing us say that we don't think it's appropriate to have more than one in 400 lineal feet. We need a motion in the form of approval of a second monument sign.
Motion to approve the request by Graham Enterprises, Inc. for Trio Car Wash for a minor sign exception to add an additional monument sign on property located at 3419 Grand Avenue.
Second.
Second by Mr. Nordentop. Any discussion on the motion? We have roll call, please.
Blair,
No.
Campbell,
No.
Nordentoff,
Nay.
Pfaff,
Nay.
Morgan,
No.
Stevens,
No.
Sula.
No, motion fails. There is an appeals process. If you choose to pursue the matter further, you could petition directly to the village board. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next item on the agenda is a public hearing for property located at 35400 Green Bay Road, requesting a zoning map amendment and a special use permit for property that's roughly 2.5 acres.
Thank you, Chairman Sula, members of the PZB. Before you this evening is a request from Car Wash Pro Designers for a zoning map amendment and special use permit for a 2.47 acre parcel located at 35400 North Green Bay Road. The property is currently zoned within unincorporated Lake County's zoning classification R1 residential. The property has remained undeveloped since approximately 2017. The applicant is seeking to incorporate the parcel into the village's zoning framework by assigning the C2 commercial district and obtaining special use approval for the development of a new automated car wash facility. The proposed project includes construction of a modern car wash tunnel, associated vehicle stacking areas, vacuum stations, and internal circulation. The applicant has stated that the operation will function similar to other car wash facilities located within the village. The subject property is located along Green Bay Road and is surrounded by a mix of residential and commercial uses within the village of Gurnee, city of Waukegan, and unincorporated Lake County. The subject property is unique in the sense that the development of the site as a car wash is possible through 3 different means: annexation to the village of Gurnee, annexation to the city of Waukegan, or development under Lake County jurisdiction. Each development avenue requires zoning relief in some shape or fashion, such as a rezoning and/or special use permit. If the village of Gurnee ultimately denies the petition, the applicant is eligible to petition the city of Waukegan for the proposed project, as the site also shares a border with Waukegan. Additionally, the applicant could petition the county for a rezoning of the parcel and develop as an unincorporated parcel in Lake County. Village staff researched some of the differences between the various zoning codes of the 3 potential jurisdictions. The village of Gurnee does have the strongest standards between the 3. As an example, I wanted to highlight one key difference between the zoning codes of the village of Gurnee, city of Waukegan, and Lake County as it relates to this project. Should the project be developed in the village of Gurnee, along the west end of the subject property, we would require a 30-foot transition yard with landscaping, whereas Lake County would only require 20 feet and Waukegan would only require 15. Additionally, if the project is developed within the village of Gurnee, we as the village would manage the code enforcement moving forward on the property, whereas if it's developed through either the city of Waukegan or the county, we do not have a say on those matters as the village. Tonight, the Planning and Zoning Board is asked to consider the proposal relative to the zoning map amendment and special use permit approval standards. Those are contained in Article 16 of the village's zoning ordinance. Following tonight's public hearing, as part of the broader entitlement process, The village board will consider annexation of the subject property as well as the PZB's recommendations on both the rezoning and special use permit at its August 24th, 2026 meeting. As a reminder to those in the audience who may be unfamiliar with our processes, the PZB is a recommending body. The village board ultimately approves or denies petitions. They are also the governing body to consider the annexation petition specifically. For those in attendance looking to provide public testimony, in one moment, the village attorney will swear in all of those looking to speak tonight. We would kindly ask that you please sign in on the sheet at the back of the boardroom prior to speaking. This is a great help to staff with the public record and meeting minutes. The petitioner is here this evening to provide a presentation and answer any questions the PZB may have. Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, as this item is a public hearing, I would request anyone from the petitioner or members of the general public who intend to either give testimony or ask questions, that please stand and be sworn in by the acting village attorney.
Please raise your right hand. Do you promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Do.
Thank you.
And at this time, I just want to take an opportunity to go through the procedure so everybody's clear in terms of how the process works. The petitioner will initially give a presentation to the members of the Planning and Zoning Board. The Planning and Zoning Board will then ask a first round of questions. After we're satisfied with our first round of questions, I will open the floor up to the public. At that time, those of you who have been sworn in are free to come to the microphone and express any questions or concerns. Once we have heard everyone's questions and concerns, I will close the floor to the public, and then we will address those questions the best that we can. Then the Planning and Zoning Board will have another round of deliberations before we make our recommendation to the village board. Okay? So at this time, I'll turn the floor over to the petitioner. And in all cases, as you approach the microphones, please state your name for the record.
Sure. My name is Alan Jacob. I represent the petitioner, Car Wash Pro Designers, and the applications before the board. We're basically seeking three things here tonight. We're seeking annexation into the village of Gurnee, as Jacob mentioned, a map amendment to rezone from R1 to C2, and finally a special use permit to operate a luxury auto spa or car wash.
Okay, and just to save us all time,
Sure.
we have absolutely no input on annexation.
Okay.
So
Understood.
Our mission is to strictly recommend zoning to the village board in the event that the village board decides to annex the property. So,
Okay. I'll narrow the subject to then those two applications. The petitioner has been in the car wash business for over 30 years, not 40. Started as owner-operator, began working as a consultant for other people who want to open car washes, and ultimately, once again, became an operator. Currently, the petitioner has 2 operating car wash and a few in development, and we're seeking to build one in the village of Gurnee. Some of the standards for a special use, I'm going to go over very, very quickly, there are 4 of them. That the use will not threaten the public health, safety, or welfare of the area. We do not believe it does. The car wash is basically soap and water and air. The soap that we use is plant-based. It's marine safe. It doesn't contain any chemicals. The second standard for special use is that the use will be compatible with adjacent uses. We've looked along Gurnee Road, and we noticed to the north and to the south, there are multiple commercial uses, including, but not limited to, a tobacco vape shop, a pizza place, a dental shop, a Jewel Osco, a Casey's, and a tire repair. We believe that the use of a luxury auto spa or a car wash along Green Bay Road would complement those uses and would be compatible with the adjacent uses there. The third standard is that the use adheres to the spirit and intent of the zoning ordinance, and we believe that it does. Car wash is allowed under C2 as a special use, and it has outlined the requirements to be able to obtain that special use permit, so we believe that we've met the third standard. And finally, conform to all regulations. Obviously, the petitioner would absolutely adhere to all federal, state, county, and local ordinances, rules, and laws. to make sure that we run a compliant use there. Now, this is called a special use, and we believe that it is special because we're bringing something that the village does not have, touchless car wash. Nowadays, a lot of car washes are friction. They use brushes. This has a touchless option. So we would be bringing that use to the community and to the people who traverse through the village of Gurnee and Waukegan. Jacob briefly mentioned that we have options to, the property is currently unincorporated Lake County. It's a Waukegan address, but it's unincorporated. We could go to Lake County and apply for a car wash. We could go to the village of Waukegan and apply for a car wash. However, the petitioner wants to have a Gurnee address. They want the higher standards because the aesthetics of the building require it. We want to bring something beautiful to the village of Gurnee. One of the commenters for the signage said one of the things that's important to them is beautification along the corridor. After you see the renderings of this building, you will see that it will beautify the corridor, the commercial corridor along Green Bay Road. Some of the issues that could be raised tonight are common. We hear them a lot. Traffic, noise, and lights. We conducted a traffic study using KLOA. KLOA is a renowned traffic engineering group that actually is employed by lots of departments of transportation across the United States, including Illinois Department of Transportation. They conducted a traffic study for this specific use, and they find that there would be no impact on the traffic along Crescent or Green Bay Road. Noise, one of the other...
Please, if you could please keep your comments, chuckles to yourselves. It's not appropriate. Thank you.
One of the other issues that could be raised is noise. The way the building is situated is that the heating, the blowing element, the drying element is facing towards Green Bay Road. Additionally, we use state-of-the-art equipment. The blower is called a stealth blower, and it emits certain decibels. We did a noise study as well to make sure that the decibels at the property line do not exceed any set by the state or the village. And that is also included in the packet tonight before the board. And finally, lights. And they'll talk about this more. Our team will talk about this a little bit more. There's zero illumination at the lot line. The tunnel is so situated that headlights would be facing towards Green Bay Road as they wait to go through the tunnel of the wash. And then finally, what has been mentioned is also property value. There was a PowerPoint presented to the village stating that the Wall Street Journal did a study and showed that a car wash lowers property value. We found no such article. We did research to detect that, and we did not find it. This property has been sold for over 5 years. When our group went out to take a look at it, they saw sleeping bags, homeless people, overgrown shrubbery, dead trees, and it's really an eyesore. And we want to bring something to the village that will remove all of those elements and bring a use that could be beneficial to the citizens of the village of Gurnee and to the local population. With that, I'll turn it over to Sean.
Thanks, Alan. My name is Sean Phillips. I represent the architectural side of the design firm WT Group. As you can see from the renderings, we incorporated a mix of transparency and natural materials kind of nestled into a solid amount of landscaping to really bring out the feel of what almost feels more like an upscale bank than anything that would be there that's currently an eyesore, as was mentioned before. So, but I did bring material samples, but again incorporating stone, brick, which is very common to the area, and glass transparency. And then the floor plan is just a typical car wash layout.
Jason Green, WT Group, 2000 Center Drive, Hoffman Estates. Civil engineer. This is an overall aerial of the site and surrounding neighborhoods. It's a zoomed in view showing the subject property. Currently vacant, old foundations and some remnants of an old gravel driveway remain on site. This is a village zoning map. Project is circled on the far east end. This is a zoom in view. It's bordering mostly R3 zoning district. As you can see in this exhibit, it shows how we're sandwiched between village of Gurnee and the city of Waukegan in currently unincorporated land. This is an existing condition survey, which again demonstrates the remaining foundations and gravel parking lots. Plat of annexation that we prepared as requested by staff in anticipation of the city board, village board approval. The landscape design is next.
Hello, my name is Paul Couture. I am the project landscape architect. I'd like to address the existing trees to start out with. Although the trees that are being removed, many of them, mostly of them, are misshaped, undesirable species, invasive, half dead. There are actually disease and insects infesting some of the trees. There's ash that are on site that physically have the emerald ash borer that should be eradicated anyway. But most of the trees that are proposed to come out are mulberry, cottonwood, ash, box elder, maple, black locust. These trees, which represent more than half of the trees there, would not be allowed in any municipality as far as a new planting. And if you throw in there's walnuts also on there, which are in many municipalities are considered undesirable. So if you add those in, basically 90% of the trees are considered undesirable. This landscape plan has a large, diverse plant palette with seasonal color along with evergreens throughout the year. We are introducing quality plants in great number. We have 80 shade, ornamental, and evergreen trees proposed for this project. That's more trees going in than are being removed. 96 evergreens, 300 ornamental shrubs, 195 perennial flowers and ornamental grasses. The buffer areas on this property on the west are huge, anywhere from 87 feet to 110 feet. On the south is 42 feet, and we have them loaded. These are considered very large for a property this size. We have more plant material on this project than we would have on a property that is twice the size. The privacy fence and the tree canopies are going to provide excellent screening as well as a sound buffer for the residential area. We have exceeded all that was asked of us with regards to the stringent landscape requirements of Gurnee. This plan shows that we do indeed want to be good neighbors and improve this corner for the community. And I'll take any questions if you have them.
Those are just some slides of some sample vegetation that's proposed. Again, Jason Green for the record. This is the original site plan that was submitted in 2022. At that time, we had the car wash entrance on the east side and the exit on the west side. in accordance with staff questions and comments that came up at that time, we've rotated the building now so that the exit is on the east side, again, nearer Green Bay Road, further from the residences that abut the property. We also moved the north driveway to the east in order to maintain a minimum of 100-foot separation from the existing roadway to the west, as the staff requested. And as shown in green hatch, we've added a 6-foot board-on-board fence on the west and the south property lines. Here's a detail of that fence. Next is signage.
So the signage, again, conforms to all of the village standards. These are some examples of what that will look like, but does not exceed any of the requirements. And really, the building does most of the sales work here, but obviously, the signage serves its purpose and adheres to requirements. And these are the locations of the signs around the property.
Hello, Nick Spallone. I am the petitioner. My office is at 4900 Northwest Highway. I'm one of the largest consulting firms in the U.S. Our name is encumbrance of what we do. We do luxury brand washes. We just completed one in Algonquin, and it received the 2025 award for architecture. Exactly the same building. We want everyone in this room to be customers. So, it's important that we make everybody happy. We understand that this has been vacant land a long time and people would prefer to have vacant than anything else. But we take a big consideration in how we impact, and one of them is sound, and you can see that this study, indicates how our impact will be to the neighbors. There's a chart to the right that kind of tells you what those numbers to the left mean. But normal traffic on Green Bay Road would be somewhere in the neighborhood of 75 decibels. Our building itself would let off 54 decibels to the houses to the north, which is 20 decibels less than what the road traffic would be. So our water, we use everything that's in soaps or aquatic-based, plant-based soaps, so they're not harmful. We treat all the water leaving the building through grease pits and triple basins. Our footprint, our green footprint is very big. We use very little water. We introduce more air than we do water. And we will be the only express touchless wash. And I know there's a lot of people that may not care about that here, but if anybody goes to the dealerships today and you sit in front of the finance department, one of the things they try to sell you on is the ceramic coating, and the first thing they tell you is don't bring it through a friction wash. Well, these people are looking for a place to get a touchless wash done, and this will actually answer to that. And I've got customers of mine that travel 30 minutes away to come to our places because of the touchless feature. So, we're here. I want the Gurnee address. It would be a slam dunk for us to go to the county. We would have half the amount of trees. We wouldn't have to do half the amount of the shading. It'd be a very easy process for us, but I really do want the Gurnee address. And I think that having the Gurnee address will add, credence to our business, that we're in more of a high-end town. Thank you.
Again, Jason Green for the record. Let's see. The Soil and Water Conservation District was approached, and we received approval from them already. IDOT was contacted to verify if they had any intent of providing a taking along the frontage, and they indicated that they would not. have any interest in that for the near future. Here's some representative photos of the site showing the dilapidated condition and the fly dumping that has been apparent. This is a geometric plan that shows the building rotated with the exit towards Green Bay Road, 25 vacuum stalls plus 1 accessible vacuum stall, 5 employee parking spaces, trash enclosure, vacuum enclosure to keep the vacuum noise contained, a customer prep lane, 2 emergency bypasses, 5-foot public sidewalk proposed on the east side of the property along the frontage, demolition of the existing driveway onto Green Bay Road, which exists today, a new driveway on the north side. We're meeting or exceeding the 25-foot setbacks, the 25 to 30-foot setbacks everywhere. The circuitous route of the entrance drive brings traffic around and circles back on itself as much as possible in order to maximize the on-site storage of vehicles before it would back up to the road. And then an ID sign at the northeast corner. This is a utility plan. First plan here shows the sanitary sewer. The sanitary sewer is depicted in yellow. The triple basin, which treats the water before it leaves the facility, is highlighted in green. This is a water exhibit. The purple represents a public water main extension that we're proposing and a new hydrant. And then the green represents the water service line that would feed the building. This is an exhibit showing the storm sewer in blue, collects the water and drains it to a storm sewer in crescent as requested by staff. Previously, we had shown the storm connecting to the south, so we've revised that in accordance with comments. And in the northwest corner, you'll see that little unit that's highlighted. That is a water treatment unit, which collects hydrocarbons, sediment, so that cleans the water before it discharges off-site. There's a detail for that unit in the top right corner. There's an erosion control plan that shows how we'll keep the soil from eroding and sediment from washing off-site. In addition, in the drains, we'll propose filter baskets which have hydrocarbon booms in them that also collect any hydrocarbons that drip off of vehicles and sediment. Circulation plans are next. First circulation plan is a car circulation plan, which I think demonstrates the circuitous pattern that I described earlier. Second one is a trash vehicle circulation. Next exhibit demonstrates the stacking that's available on site with a total of 88 vehicles stacked. This exhibit shows the very largest fire truck circulating the site safely. And this is the last exhibit showing the fire coverage, and it dimensions the distance between the fire hydrant and the fire department connection, which is below the mandated 100-foot maximum that the village has. That concludes our presentation. Thank you very much for your consideration.
Thank you. I'll start out with an observation. From my perspective, Green Bay and Crescent, there's already a traffic signal there. 3 of the 4 other corners are already commercial districts, so I don't think it's unreasonable for this corner to be some sort of commercial as well. With that, I'll turn it over to David. You want to start?
I guess The only question that I want to start off with is just a question that we always, an exercise we always sort of go through when we contemplate zoning map amendments, and that would be if this changed to C2 and for some reason the project didn't go forth, what would be allowed by right as C2?
So C2, well, I guess it's first off, and I should have mentioned this in my staff report, this particular parcel is not contemplated in our comprehensive plan. So that makes it a little bit harder for us to have an idea. But if we just had C2, the nature of C2 is consistent up and down Grand Road. Those types of uses and businesses allowed by right, all of those different commercial districts in the East Grand Corridor, those types of uses would be allowed.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, again, I have a question about, what we're considering and what we're not. You look at these, the plans being proposed, they look awesome, but we're not really considering, we're not approving a particular establishment. We're talking about changing the zoning and giving a special use to build a car wash.
And there's two aspects to it. One is the zoning, but a special use permit, whatever is presented is key to our decision-making process, and all those design elements would be required.
I see. So that's a helpful clarification. So the special use is being granted for that particular proposed design.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. So, thank you for the interest in wanting to have a Gurnee address. Obviously, the village and the staff work very hard to try to attract businesses. I don't disagree with the chair that at some point in time, based on the nature of the corner, that this might be commercial someday in some form or fashion. It's R1 now. I think just based on the nature of it being vacant so long, there was a building on there years ago that was torn down, and it is what it is now. We have a lot of reference to the address, which is appropriate, of North Green Bay Road, and just the references to how this is contiguous and, complements North Green Bay Road, but we do leave out that there is Crescent that's associated with this corner as well. And Crescent, as I mentioned to the other petitioner before you, I've had the ability and privilege of driving up and down this road pretty much my entire life. I think I got my first ticket on Crescent. But this is a residential street beyond, probably 50 feet beyond Green Bay Road. And on every side of you, there is residential, not, withstanding to the west of you where it's all residential. So that is concerning to me, of a facility of this special use when you are, in fact, surrounded by residential property. That would be my observation with this. Not that this property won't be commercial at some point in time, but just the proposed use.
I really like the site plan. It's probably one of the best presentations I've seen for a car wash. The amount of stacking I haven't seen on any other. That's great. The only thing that bothers me about it, I stated up front, I was hoping the entrance wasn't going to be off Crescent. That's the only entrance exit. Can I ask why staff heard them from putting the one in on Green Bay?
So for a little bit of context here, and it wasn't exactly this group, but this was contemplated but never rose up to the level of a actual petition back in 2022. It was just at the staff level, and I'm not exactly sure what happened. I think that was one group before these gentlemen, but it never proceeded. So I actually have the staff review from 2022 up. Obviously, it predates Shannon and I, so we're going to have to kind of go based off of here. But IDOT, looks like wasn't willing to grant the, right in, right out right there for this project because of their access off of Crescent. So I think at that time that limited them.
Okay. Yeah, one of the things I saw, I looked on, I did drive over there and drove up and down Crescent quite a bit. One of the things I noticed on Google Maps is their street view. There's 6 cars lined up at the light right in front of where the car wash is going to be, which runs it almost all the way back to the driveway. So you add some cars to that. I see a problem. There's no way for the car in front to move if they're turning left or going straight. They can't get out of the way of a right-hand. They added a right-hand turn lane. That might have made it more acceptable, but I have a problem with traffic Crescent.
Todd?
I was just, what are the hours of operations for this?
So in the summertime, we are 8 a.m. until 8 p.m. Monday through Saturday, and 9 to 5 on Sundays. In the wintertime, we are 8 to 6, 7 days a week. We kind of follow the light.
Okay. As Odin said, that I was out there today also. I was there around 6 o'clock, 6:15, and there was a line of traffic on Crescent right there at the red light, and probably past the entrance, like he was saying. I actually had to turn around, and I actually got in the queue to make a right-hand turn to come down Green Bay, and was. I just see that during, especially the winter time, when people, after you get a good snow and salt all over your car, and people coming in, there's going to be issues going in and out of that off of Crescent is my main concern. I think you addressed the lighting issues, the landscaping issues, but going in and out off of Crescent is concerning to me right now, more than anything else. And with only one entrance exit right there, I could see people lined up trying to make the turn off of Green Bay onto Crescent, then trying to make the turn into the car wash. It would be, you'd create a huge traffic jam and a lot of inconvenience for the people in that area. So that's.
If I may add to that, so the facility that we're putting in is not a typical express because of the nature of the type of wash. If the building is turned up to high performance, it'll discharge a car every 20 seconds. So if, let's say, we're at a high peak day where there's a bunch of people pulling in, which we've kind of answered to that with the amount of volume we can keep on the site, which we may want to make sure we had a lot of storage. The vehicles leaving the site, if, let's say, no one decides to vacuum, which is a natural thing. They get their wash, they come out, they vacuum. Just assume that the vacuums are shut down, no one's going through the vacuums, and now they're leaving the site. They leave the site every 20 seconds. So if the traffic light lasts a minute, which it won't, but let's just assume that it lasted 1 minute, that means we're discharging 3 cars every minute to Crescent. So it's very important to understand that because, and this is not the pattern of most people that wash their cars in express wash. They'll come out, they'll vacuum. We have signs that say you must go through the wash first before you use the vacuums. But just assuming the power goes out on the vacuums, no one's using the vacuums, and now it's just a strict wash, we're only discharging 3 cars a minute onto Crescent. The storage is massive. So you saw in the stacking us going around the west side of the building. You can also go around the east side of the building if it gets busy. And then those people will compete, kind of the honor system. I got here first, you go in, but all that traffic's contained within the site itself.
Thank you.
Kathy?
I was there during a time when traffic was not high, so it was midday. And so I appreciate all the comments by the other commissioners. Yeah, the concern with the Crescent traffic obviously is, but your plan is beautiful. I think it would be a huge improvement to the property, and I really appreciate the work you put into that and the reversing of the dryers for sure.
One more note on the traffic piece. When we did talk to KLOA, we mentioned the access off of Green Bay, and they made a big point to us that I really didn't pay too much attention to until we built one that had a right in, right out in West Chicago. People will find a way to go through that pork chop. So if they're coming northbound and they want to get in on Green Bay Road, they're making that somewhat U-turn or left turn in to bypass the pork chop. My concern was that becomes most of the headache in our current wash now because of the pork chop. So the reason why staff recommended this and KLOA recommended this was because they felt like there would be less misappropriation of the traffic pattern. Like people will follow traffic instead of trying to cheat it. But I prefer to be on Green Bay. Anybody would know that that access is preferred to be on the higher volume road, but this was more of a safety thing.
I'd like to add something, and this is just pure hypothetical since this is kind of an open discussion. If we were to request from the board to close the Crescent entry and seek entry onto Green Bay from IDOT, could that be a condition of approval? Would you consider that?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
And yeah, we're okay with it being on Green Bay. This was just a recommendation from staff.
I understand.
Our first round.
Right, at this time, I'll open the floor up to the public. So if anyone has a question or comment, please come to the microphone, state your name for the record. As I said before, once everyone's asked their questions, I'll close the floor to the public, and then we'll address them the best that we can.
My name is Bill Ham. I live at 3433 Crescent Avenue. And I noticed you guys closed off Granville getting off of 41 because they used to use that as a through street to get to Green Bay Road. Now all the traffic comes down Crescent Avenue to Green Bay Road. And I live 3 doors down, and the traffic is 8 cars pass my house every night. So you can go over there, you see cars lined up there. Another point is, they said it wouldn't bother the people moving or living there. The guy across the street, he's got his house up for sale because he didn't want to put up with that. But he's moving. So you got enough traffic there already because you closed off one part. That's the true traffic. And sometimes it's backed up all the way down to the end by the stop sign. So nobody can get down there. And from 3 o'clock until 6:30, 7 o'clock, a lot of times the line's there, and anybody trying to get into that car wash from there, they're going to be going in. People are going to try and come in from the left. There's going to be traffic there forever. And it doesn't move now. I don't know what you think is going to move when they put a car wash there and destroy the neighborhood with more baloney. They could put a doctor's office or anything else. But when you got a million cars coming in and out, and especially in the wintertime, you got cars coming that are full of slop. Now they're going to come on your street to go into the car wash. Going to make a big mess out there, even more than it is already, because everybody cuts through there. And if you go there, if you want to come to my house and sit out in front of my house one night, you'll see how much traffic's there. You won't believe it. And they put a little thing there to stop speeders. They might as well hang a clown sign on it because it's worthless. They come through it at 50 miles an hour, nobody does nothing. And it's terrible. And at night, on Green Bay Road, you can hear the cars racing down the highway that are meeting over at the hamburger place, and they race down Green Bay Road. And if that's 75 decibels and they're going to add 54 more, now you're at 100 some decibels. You don't think my house is going to buzz? It'd be like vibrating from all the baloney there. Got enough traffic there for now. That's all I got to say.
Thank you.
Hi. I'm Lynn Lindeman, and I live at 3468 Crescent, which is about a block and a little bit west. Before Gurnee becomes the car wash capital of the world, I have two questions. The substation is one house down from me. It has constant problems. How is this going to impact the substation and the sewer systems? Is there going to be, a problem with water and backing up? I don't know the mechanics of it. Has the village done any engineering studies to see if the substation will be impacted? Because I know from personal experience, my family had their basement flooded twice because of the substation, and it was sewage. Okay, there you go. So has the village done any engineering studies about that? Secondly, if this becomes Gurnee property, does that mean that in the wintertime, Gurnee will be responsible for plowing that block that is currently Waukegan? Just a thought. And somebody's nodding their head. So this means that there will be better plowing in that first block as you turn west on Crescent?
Ma'am, as I indicated before, we're going to take all the questions and then
Okay.
answer the questions at the end.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
My name is Ben Gordon. I live on Glenflora Avenue, a few houses down from where this would be. In theory, I don't have an issue with there being a commercial spot there. It would make sense. As far as the Crescent spot, that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I usually have to go through Crescent to pick up my kids and around like 4:30, and there's no space to get in and out of the car wash at that point. My question is kind of broader though, and if you just go on a Google search and just type in car washes from that location, it just lights up everywhere. So I'm not really sure what the need for a car wash would be there. I don't know that it's in any owner's best interest to pick that spot of all the spots to do it. Also, car washes in general have a bit of a reputation for potentially being a place where people could launder money. I don't know that this, I'm not saying this one would. It seems like they're pretty upstanding, but I feel like the more car washes you have in the area, the more likelihood of the wrong type of people being around your family. So that's a concern to address. Also, as far as the sewage goes, my house works off of a well. So I'm not sure if all the stuff being pumped in would seep its way in as well.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, I have,
Can you hear me through the mask? I'm
Yes.
a little under the weather. I'm sorry. Good evening, members of the Gurnee Planning and Zoning Board. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Jory Stuckwish. I've lived on Belle Plaine for 18 years. As mentioned before, the lot in question is set back within a residential neighborhood surrounded by residential properties. In fact, the only commercial business on Crescent west of Green Bay is a former residential home converted to a small podiatry practice. A commercial car wash is incompatible with the neighborhood. Unlike a small neighborhood business, a car wash is a high-volume commercial operation. It generates a constant flow of vehicles throughout the day, cars entering, exiting, and often lining up, creating congestion on streets that were designed for residents, not for commercial traffic. A car wash would significantly increase vehicle traffic throughout the neighborhood. The greatest concern is, mentioned before, that the proposed car wash entrance is on Crescent Avenue, a residential street in our neighborhood. For those who aren't familiar with Crescent, residents have already raised existing concerns regarding the through traffic on Crescent and Belle Plaine Avenue, from the commuters cutting through the neighborhood to bypass the traffic on Green Bay and Grand. In response, the Gurnee Police Department recently placed a digital speed sign on Crescent, and the numbers provided by GPD show that Crescent Avenue has the highest traffic volumes for a residential street in East Gurnee after Old Green Bay and Northwestern. A car wash entrance on this street will significantly exacerbate the problem and create more safety concerns for residents and pedestrians, particularly with the crosswalk to Shaw Park within 500 feet of the proposed entrance, many school bus stops along this street and connecting streets, and even Spalding Elementary School. It's just 3/4 of a mile north on Belle Plaine off of Crescent. That's another area with existing through traffic problems. And as noted before, that light lines up with cars from Crescent to Green Bay. There is no way people are going to wait at that light and not turn left on Crescent and zoom through the residential neighborhood where my kids are riding their bikes and waiting for their school bus. So beyond traffic, we want to also consider the daily impact on the many people who live nearby. Modern car washes operate with the powerful blowers, vacuum stations, pumps, and other equipment that create continuous noise. There's also the issue of lighting. It spills into neighboring homes and yards, changing the feel of the neighborhood long after the sun goes down. When you combine increased traffic, constant noise, lighting, and commercial activity, the result is a significant decline in the quality of life for the families who live there. As mentioned before, there already exist 5 car washes and 2 car details within a 1.5 miles of this location. In fact, one of those car washes was here tonight asking for additional signage, which leads me to believe they may not be attracting enough business due to the oversaturation of car washes in the area. So for those who may argue that the project will create jobs or stimulate the local economy, the reality is that modern car washes are highly automated businesses employing relatively few people, and most customers spend only a few minutes on site before driving away. They're not destinations that generate meaningful economic activity for surrounding businesses. So the limited economic benefit simply doesn't outweigh the permanent impact on the neighborhood. I provided a list of regulations for car washes that are commonly used by municipalities to target the primary neighborhood concerns associated with car washes. So I'm interested to know if the lot in question allows for, if the petitioners are able and willing to accommodate those regulations. A few important, and so I asked the zoning board to consider the list when deliberating the special use permit. A few important items on the list, particularly designing entrances away from residential streets, an 8-foot masonry sound wall along residential property lines. I didn't see that in the plans. Maybe I missed it, but I did not see it. No vehicle queues extending onto public streets, and a water reclamation system that recycles at least 70 to 80% of wash water. The water line is from Gurnee. So tonight you have the opportunity to protect the neighborhood that residents have invested in and called home for years. We ask you to uphold the purpose of your zoning ordinance and preserve the safety, character, and quality of life in this community. So thank you so much for your time and special consideration.
Thank you.
Hello, Chairperson and board members. My name is Tony Shepard, and my wife Penny and I have lived at 3410 Grandmore Avenue for over 20 plus years. I'm here tonight on behalf of our neighbors, ourselves, and the East Gurnee Crescent Meadows, and respectfully oppose this commercial car wash, mainly because of the traffic issues we've discussed and the Crescent Avenue entrance. I'm going to change it up a little bit after hearing the presentation, though. The gentleman may have misspoke, but on the submission that I have, the recommended business hours start at 6 a.m. and 7 a.m. respectively during the winter. The other thing is on their sound testing. They didn't do it on this property with a building, with the loud echoing, with car exhausts, with car stereos. Who's going to police that? Third, they talked about the traffic will queue and exit to the east. But while the cars are all in queue, the headlights will be pointing to the west, directly to my raised ranch home. A 6-foot fence will do absolutely no good. I have a 6-foot fence on my property line. I look right over it. I'm in a raised ranch. You come out my back door, look straight down on this. I see this whole property all the way to Green Bay Road. I've talked about, I'm glad they saw my presentation. If they actually got the real presentation, the Wall Street Journal article is linked to the presentation, so they can go back and read that too, about property value. But we got bigger issues here. We would love to have something there that was beautify our community. But the Crescent Avenue entrance is not the answer. The traffic impact, the families that utilize that road, the kids that ride their bikes, the bike path ends right there. It's awful. We've all talked about the traffic. The noise is not realistic to their noise study. The traffic, they said they hired that company to do a traffic study. Did they compare the entrance on Green Bay as opposed to the entrance on Crescent. A 6-foot fence will do absolutely no good, and it's not a sound fence, it's a board on board. Their shrubberies, if you saw their images, they're all 1 foot, 2 foot tall other than the evergreens. So beautifying it, adding flowers is great. It is a beautiful structure, no doubt about it. But the impact it will have to the community and the neighbors, especially with the entrance on Crescent, would be not good. So I respectfully ask that if we do go about it, we uphold them to the highest standards and maybe put a 20-foot wall up there. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Penny Shepherd. My husband Tony and I live at 3410 Grandmore Avenue, and I would like to thank the board for allowing me this time to speak. I am in opposition to this proposed car wash, only because it would be a nuisance in the life my husband and I have built, but I fear it will negatively impact the quality of life for the residents of our neighborhood by overloading Crescent Avenue. As it's been mentioned, the average speed in this 25-mile-an-hour zone is 50. Flying through there to avoid the light at Grand and Green Bay, the lights and the noise, not only from the mechanisms of a car wash, but from the customers themselves. When you've got intrusively loud music and modified exhaust systems, and as it's been mentioned many times already this evening, there are so many families with children and pets, and it can be a real issue of safety for people who do enjoy walking and cycling or playing in their front yards and driveways when you're adding these extra people potentially also speeding through the neighborhood. I'm sure you all are aware of the factors established by the LaSalle Doctrine, which is a test that asks if rezoning is arbitrary, unreasonable, or fails to protect existing residential character. And the test asks about the character of the neighborhood. 50% of the shared property lines to this parcel are residential. The area in proximity is overwhelmingly residential. Property values are another question that are asked, what the impact it would have to our property values. And we have a fear that it will diminish property values based on increased light, noise, pollution, commercial traffic, and loss of privacy. The LaSalle Doctrine also asks about how public welfare is affected. And I feel, and I think many people here who are in opposition to this would agree that the financial gain to the developer is far outweighed by the hardship imposed on the neighbors. The public gains nothing from encroaching into a quiet residential zone. Suitability. You know, we purchased our home in 2004. I mean, this has been a vacant lot for quite a long time, and it might be suitable to put some type of a business there or to rezone it and annex into Gurnee. But as it's been mentioned already, within a mile and a half, there are already 5 car washes and 2 detail shops. One of those car washes is a half-mile away on Grand Avenue, and maybe it's not the touch-free kind that you're proposing. It's still another car wash, and do we really need that? I've got some information about an environmental study conducted by the National Institute of Health in 2023 about untreated wastewater from car washes, but it sounds like you've got systems in place to treat that. When they're not treated, though, the hydrocarbons are found in high concentration, and these are your motor oils, gasoline, exhaust residue. Heavy metals are also found in lower concentration. Metals like copper and zinc from brake pads and tire wear. Also phosphates and surfactants, when those are found in high concentration, which they are. Soaps can trigger explosive algae growth and strip protective mucus from aquatic life. Yes, the area is loaded with car washes, but I was wondering why there has been this sudden increase in the building of such a specific type of business. And it turns out that a lot of the properties that are on the market are often purchased by private equity firms. And I'm not saying that's what's going on here, but it happens a lot. And these are people who typically don't live in the county, let alone live in Gurnee. Car washes are viewed as highly lucrative investments with low overhead. So I wonder if the petitioner wants to do this because they think it's good for our community and local business, or if it's a quick, cheap, easy way to make money without getting their own hands dirty. And do they have the slightest consideration for the people who live here and our quality of life? Potentially even contributing to the pollution of our local ecosystem. I am in support for adding new businesses that add local improvements, but I would love to see East Gurnee invigorated, but I don't think that a car wash is the answer to that, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Lauren Tolan. Members of the Zoning Board, I'm here to request your disapproval of the proposed car wash special use permit, as it would indeed threaten the well-being of residents with the crescent traffic and noise chief among the other reasons. Placed here in this quiet neighborhood, the deafening blowers, vacuums, and constant traffic will shatter the peace of the private backyards and degrade this community's quality of life. Tonight, I offer you my perspective as a decades-long friend to current residents whose backyard sanctuary abuts the proposed car wash. Tony and Penny Shepherd's yard isn't just another outdoor space to enjoy, it's so much more. They had guardianship of their granddaughter, Ray, since she was a baby, and they shared their love of nature and outdoors with her. She spent her years swimming in their backyard, jumping on her trampoline, and growing plants and flowers. This month will be 4 years since we suddenly lost this beautiful and sweet girl, taken far too soon. Her Mimsy and her papa carry her legacy forward, especially through gardening, and they even created a garden at her school, Spalding Elementary, in her memory, and are renovating a large unkept courtyard there too. A noisy car wash directly adjacent to this neighborhood will drive away the very families Gurnee works hard to attract and retain. Ray's yard is ever evolving now, little by little. Her Mimsy and her papa are regaining their capacity to imagine, appreciate, and remember the best of times. This space Ray loved from her very first summer to her final 7th year. Please don't take away this sanctuary that is so precious to my dearest friends. It's more than just a yard. It's now their therapy and a little growing tribute to their Ray. Every family here in this room deserves their backyard sanctuary too. I understand and respect the need for commercial development. However, zoning ordinances are specifically designed to be the buffer that separates the persistent barrage of industrial noise and commercial traffic from the sanctity of private homes. For families, retirees, and those working from home, this constant drone takes a severe toll on mental well-being and entirely strips them of the quiet enjoyment which they should have the right to continue to experience on the property they bought into. I ask you to vote to disapprove this car wash and uphold the quiet residential character of this neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, good evening. My name is Paul Jean Lesperance, and I live at 3448 Crescent Avenue, which, if you take a look at the Google map, is about 3 doors down from the proposed entrance from Crescent Avenue to the proposed car wash. I've lived in this area since 2017, and I walk 6 days a week along Crescent Avenue, up the bike path, down to Grandmore to Boulevard View, and back around Glen Flora, back to my home. And Green Bay Road and Crescent Avenue is right there, and traffic right off Crescent Avenue comes cross Green Bay Road, down Crescent Avenue, and there's the speed enforcement sign. It says 25 miles an hour, but I can tell you firsthand that nobody is driving 25 miles an hour. Concerns that I also have is traffic. We live right there, 3 doors down, as I stated. And if there's an accident on Grand Avenue in Green Bay or further north, Crescent Avenue is basically a cut street, and it increases traffic to congestion, sometimes over hours. And also, if you can take a look at the lanes there is no left-hand turn lane, and I did not hear in the presentation from these very nice people about expanding the area, okay, for a turn lane. And often there are accidents right there at that intersection. So I'm just going to politely say that I strongly oppose this business proposition. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Good evening, and thank you for letting us speak. My name is Paul Habel. I'm at 3471 Grandmore Avenue. I'm about less than a quarter mile west of the site. I agree with everything else that's been said tonight. I just want to point out that if I wanted to get my car washed tomorrow, I go to Trio Car Wash, which is 0.6 of a mile south of here. We've already heard from them. I could go to Extreme Car Wash, which is 0.7 of a mile south of here. I can go to Johnny D's Car Wash, which is 1.5 miles south of here. I can go to the Gurnee Express Car Wash, which is 2.1 miles west of here if I'm going in that direction. I can go to just another car wash, which is 1.5 miles west of here, or the Nice and Clean Car Wash, which is a do-it-yourself car wash, if you're into that, which is 1 mile west of here as well. If I'm really adventurous and I want to go north, I can go 4 miles north to the Waukegan Car Wash. My point is, how many do we need? And I think it's interesting this meeting started with confusion as to which car wash we were addressing. I understand the village wants to help beautify the village. I appreciate that. Nobody wants that more than we do. I think we can do something better on the corner than another car wash. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Joe Bragg. I live at 3457 Crescent Avenue. I won't add that much to the chorus of individuals who pointed out the traffic issues. I would like to thank the petitioners for all the work that's obviously gone into the considerations of trying to make this as reasonable a corporate neighbor as possible. However, we can't get past the traffic issues. And looking at the intersection directly west of Green Bay and Grand Avenue, I don't see whether there's any room in order to expand that, to widen it, in order to accommodate a turn lane of any sort, which you would have to have in order to even begin to deal with the traffic flow. The testimony that's been offered here about the situations with the traffic are very accurate. My neighbor here mentioned that it often backs up in front of his house. I appreciate the fact that you had a consulting group do a traffic study. I've been conducting a 35-year traffic study of my own, and I would suggest that the amount of traffic there, as kind of laid out by you, is wildly underestimating not only the impact that your business would have, but also the nature of the traffic as it stands now. I will, however, recognize that, as we've said, it would be nice to have something there. And also that you do have other options if this is vetoed down by the Village of Gurnee. You can approach the City of Waukegan or unincorporated Lake County government, and you might have a greater opportunity to get the approval that you need, the zoning ordinance changes. And so I understand the value of having Gurnee have some sort of administrative say over that property, which I appreciate. With that in mind, I will ask a couple questions about that. If a special use permit is extended to this company, would that permit have any sort of options for the village to either write in or to reserve for a future date in response to situations that they developed? Certain prescriptions against any sort of special events, special marketing, promotions, devices, et cetera, that might further impose a liability onto the residents of the area, by which I mean, like, say they decide they want to create more traffic, so they have like their own little private scoop the loop invitation where they invite more individuals in. Understanding the people that typically go to those normally detail their cars by themselves, but another example would be if the traffic is not what they wanted it to be, would they be prevented from like bringing searchlights and having them, broadcast into the skies in order to try to draw attention to the site? Those are specific examples. I could not begin to think of all the possibilities, but I think you get what I'm getting at. Does a village, under a special use permit, reserve to itself the right to offer administrative remedies if some of the behaviors of the owners go beyond what is considered proper for the welfare of the community at large. As far as the water, the wastewater treatment and the intake of water usage, would there be a way of monitoring that and allowing the village to react to that if the business went beyond prescribed limits for any of those activities? And would there be an ongoing monitoring effort essentially built in to the operation of this business, so we have an ongoing way to keep track of whether they are operating within the limits that we prescribed as part of the permit, and also in a way that it wouldn't negatively affect the sewage right now? Some couple of neighbors already pointed out that they've had instances of sewage backing up into the basements. I would be concerned about the water pressure. I believe Ms. Lindeman pointed out that there was a question about the lifting station there that's at the intersection of Boulevard U and Crescent Avenue. So I would just be curious as to what sort of ongoing oversight might be imposed upon this business if you were to move forward with the special permit. One question I have for the petitioners: do you currently own this property outright, or is there a contingency?
Excuse me, sir, you need to address your questions to us. You can't engage with the petitioner.
Okay, I wasn't aware, I apologize. Do they currently own the property outright, or is there a contingency on this property as far as it requires you to make these, not the zoning changes, the special use permit, and then for the village to actually annex the property? Or do they already own it outright? I'm just curious as to that. It's been also mentioned a couple times here that, first of all, I think that the plans put forward, they've obviously put a lot of work into it. And what they're proposing would definitely be an improvement over that property as it currently exists. A question, and I don't know if you have the answer to this, I don't know if you'd be able to answer it, I don't know if you're interested in answering it. But it was my understanding at a village meeting that I attended in January that we had signed a contract with a consultant for $20,000 of, I believe, 6 months' work. The consultant's job was to attempt to try to attract businesses to Gurnee. Now, since that property is technically not in Gurnee right now, has that individual been pointed at that property or properties like it to look at other alternatives? For instance, top of my head, I don't know. I think that something that would better suit the neighborhood and would be of greater use to the county at large would be if this consultant or somebody else might look at seeing if any operators of like senior housing apartments or that sort of business would be interested into moving onto that property. Someone like that would fit better the residential character of the area and would not present the traffic problems that I think are troubling all of us. Again, top of the head, but I don't know if there's been any, if we're a reactionary body or if we're actually going out and being proactive about this sort of thing. I guess in summation, I am here because I oppose this project. I leave it to you to decide what's going to happen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Debbie Hazelton. I do not even live near this property, but I have lived in that neighborhood for over 40 years. So, I mean, I think I've been schooled on that neighborhood many times over. I live on Belle Plaine. I avoid Belle Plaine. I try to get off of it as soon as I can, and I go up any of the other, I avoid Green Bay, I avoid Crescent, and the few times that I do come down Belle Plaine, I have probably 50% of the time someone tries to cut in front of me because they assume that I am going to be a cut-through person and make a right-hand turn there, which of course I'm not because I live on the north side. I have a very quiet backyard. It was much more quiet 40 years ago than it is now, but there is a car wash on Magnolia called Nice and Clean, and it has one automatic. It has those power washer type touchless car stalls, and they have just a few, not 25, but just a few vacuum cleaners. I happen to work at the business that's adjacent to that car wash, and I've spent hundreds of hours there, even after the business has closed. And I can tell you that there are interesting smells coming from that area. There's noise, and it's the hissing of the water, it's the cars, it's talking, it's super loud music, because apparently when people get their car washed, they like to put their music on so loud that you can hear it with the windows up. And then, and of course the vacuum cleaners and stuff. So it's, you know, where I'm at, it's quiet all the time, and it's very, very annoying, and it's a business. So we put up with it because it's a business next to a business, and that car wash is all surrounded by businesses. So I really am here to, you know, I have a quiet backyard, and I think these people should also have a quiet backyard. And because I have had decades of experience at this business, where it's not really the quietest of businesses, I don't think that this would suit the residents, and especially East Gurnee, they're really trying to improve the area and you know, be up to that Gurnee standard, just like the petitioner wants that address. They want that address for a reason. And I think if we keep upholding the standards that we have for the west side, also for the east side, I think then we'll become one village, not the west side and the east side. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Gail Grimsick. I live at 3550 Grove Avenue. It's 2 blocks away from Crescent Avenue. Questions that I have, and I'll ask you. Number one is, who would be responsible for monitoring that area? I know that as I live on Grove, once I cross over Bay Place, there's a question as to whether it's Waukegan jurisdiction, Gurnee jurisdiction, or Lake County Sheriff's jurisdiction. We also have modified cars that are coming out of Jewel, Moshe's, whatever, and they are going up and down Green Bay Road, and that's all you hear is it sounds like rapid gunfire. Is this car wash going to attract more of that type of business, especially since they're high-end car washes? And same question regarding the jurisdiction for legal purposes. Who's going to be responsible for maintaining that area when it comes to plowing, when it comes to flooding, when it comes to any type of maintenance in that area? Those are my questions.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Teresa Pluta. I'm at 1166 Belle Plaine, so I'm right at the corner of Belle Plaine and Crescent. Just want to propose or oppose this project. I agree with all the residents that have spoken tonight. I'm not happy with adding additional traffic to the area. The noise, as people mentioned about people's exhausts and all of that, but I know the property isn't looking nice now, but I just don't want the additional traffic and the noise. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Javier Ospina. I live in a...
Sir, you need to be closer to the microphone.
I live in 3512 Crescent Avenue for 28 years. And then I never have seen all these problems coming out since they fixed the bridge over here by Grand and 41. And that bridge is fine and everything because bring everything, all the cars in and out. But since they have that, our street start coming out like a bypass, you know? And then, and I use concerns about the speeders because they take that little shortcut is for, you know, try to go fast and something like that. Other thing is, this is the bypass. I live right in the corner of the bypass. I see a lot of people walking and everything, and then people don't stop when you know, they keep going. When they come from the schools, they come like about 6 or 7 buses, and the time to drop and pick it up the kids. You think the people have patience to wait till those kids get out of the bus and or get in. Mm-mm. They honk. I don't know why. But the other thing about the car wash, looks like a very nice and all stuff like that, but we don't need no more traffic around it. We got, in Grand, we have a new car wash not too long ago. And by Grand coming into our neighborhood, there's another car wash. You know what? A lot of people hang out in that car wash. I don't know why, at night. Plus, they have all those vendors and all those businesses at night. And there's a lot of people that hang out and speed all those cars back and forward in our neighborhood. So why we want to bring, more businesses in our neighborhood if there's going to be bringing us problems, accidents, and no people are going to be happy. So that's why I have to say thank you.
Thank you.
Hello. I want to say thank you very much for listening to all of our complaints and problems and stuff too. So tonight, and all the residents from Gurnee here in this residential area. My name is Scott Pluta. I live at 1166 Belle Plaine. My wife spoke earlier. We've been residents in this area for 43 years, and it is an eyesore in that corner. It's ever been since they had tore down the warehouses and stuff and barns and stuff like that that were there. One thing about this area is you have residential houses, Crescent Meadows, Belle Plaine, everything that's west of us and stuff. We have storm sewer problems, people's basements and stuff. We have water tension ponds that if we do have heavy rains and stuff, we do have problems with flooding and stuff in the area. The intersection at Green Bay and Grand there, across from the subway, floods out with the heavy rains too. So if you see a tension pond right on that intersection there, there's also problems with water. A lot of this neighborhood has been farmed, okay? A lot of these houses are well and septics. So here, putting a car wash, I'm opposed to putting this car wash here. I think that Gurnee would think about, zoning it as, like somebody had said earlier, as a senior living residence. You don't have the traffic. They don't drive. Seniors don't drive. I noticed that, we do have a senior house that's right off Grand Avenue by the railroad tracks. Very nice, it's quiet. Another thing too is Belle Plaine and Crescent, the amount of traffic and the speeding. And Belle Plaine's one problem because you have no stopping from Grand Avenue all the way to Glen Flora. There's no stop sign. It's a way to go. I've talked to a lot of Gurnee Police Department employees. Highest rating speed down Belle Plaine is 60-something miles an hour that they have caught. We have muffler shops. We have brake shops. We have car detail shops all around us. We don't need a high-pressure, noisy vacuum, decibels and stuff. We have Northwestern for that. We have problems on Northwestern. I don't know if you've all looked at a chemical plant there that has a vibrating noise reduction thing that it echoes through our neighborhood. It's not quiet through our neighborhood. We don't need any more traffic. We don't need any more car washes. We have all that around our area already close enough for us. I think that with the water problems and stuff like that, I'd like to see Gurnee really step up a little bit more. Our speed problems on Belle Plaine and Crescent, I'd like to see a bigger improvement. I know you have done some of the speed signs or flashing and stuff. People really don't really obey by that. Second thing is, I found out in the 43 years we've lived here is Crescent and Belle Plaine and Crescent is a bypass for all of our Gurnee fire departments. if anything happens to Green Bay and Grand being shut down or whatever, that's an alternate safety problem or safety route that our ambulances and Gurnee fire departments follow to get around that intersection at Grand and Green Bay. Now, there's no turning lanes or anything on Crescent. There's no improvements of any of our roads there. You know, we have no parking on our side on Belle Plaine. Parts of Crescent you can't park on, but then you get into, like other people say, Bay Place Road. That's the Waukegan drop off. You know, I mean, the roads are crap. Oops, sorry. They don't plow. Who's going to take care of it? Is Gurnee my tax is going to go up more? If Gurnee's got to plow that, you know, part of Waukegan, you know, I mean, unincorporated Waukegan. So I just oppose of putting something. I think Gurnee would really enjoy to see something more established, residential, or, you know, something there in that corner there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Evening, my name is Mike Mays. I live on 3461 Meadowcrest, just a couple blocks south of that area on Crescent and Green Bay. I couldn't agree more with what everybody has said already. I actually like the plans that they have, but just adjacent to that vacant lot, there's a doctor's office or something like that. That's an eyesore. That hasn't been taken care of either. The traffic is horrible on Crescent, no matter when you go. And it's a residential neighborhood. Why do we need to have a car wash in the neighborhood when you already have, as somebody stated before, 5 or 6 car washes within a 2-mile radius? The people that came in before, we was confused about the meeting because he was complaining about not having a sign for a car wash. So it's, what's the urgency? My question is, what's the urgency of having all the car washes? Why couldn't something else be put in that spot? I think this is not the first time that the board has heard about the different things the residents have complained about. Even before the car wash thing came up. It was, if it wasn't 41 in Grand, it's something else. But to do that, especially with a lot of kids in this neighborhood, it's probably really bad, especially during school time, school buses, so forth and so on. That corner is really busy. It's not wide at all. The light sucks, excuse my French, just to be honest. Trying to get across Green Bay on Crescent is terrible. I'm opposed to it. And I mean, I think I live far enough where the noise wouldn't bother me, but the traffic would, because there's already a hole in the fence on Meadowcrest where people come through to go to Jewel. So that's a problem. So now you got more people coming through the neighborhood that don't even live over there. And I'm not saying people shouldn't be able to walk where they want to walk, but this is a dead-end street. It's not even, you can't even drive cars through there. You come down our street, you got to turn around and go back the same way you came in. You know, so what happens when traffic starts getting even more with the car wash? As far as the plans and what all they've done to make sure that these things are not going to happen, I'm not going to argue with that. But you look at that, Crescent and Green Bay, and you tell me where you want to, if you was living over there where we live, would you want it? That's the question I have for you guys. Would you want it? And if you wouldn't want it, why impose it on us? Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, I'm Bill Rosso. I live at 3458 Grandmore Avenue. I've lived there for almost 40 years, which is very, very close to the site that's proposed. I'm very much opposed to that particular development for all the reasons that the people have already mentioned, the traffic, the lights, the noise. But one thing that nobody has mentioned that concerns me. They talk about being able to stack up 80 cars. The air pollution that will be provided by those, the exhaust, has not been mentioned. I think that's very significant to the quality of life and the health of the people who live in that area. And the other question I have is, what will this do to the tax base? Are these people going to be adding to the tax base or just using Gurnee, everything that Gurnee provides, and not contributing substantially to the tax base? I don't know how that works, but it's something that be considered. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Becky Kutsinis. I live at 907 Belle Plaine. I understand that this board has a uniquely complicated situation with dealing with multiple potential governing bodies. Although I would prefer not to have a car wash there, if the zoning board chooses that control in Gurnee is in the best interest rather than in Waukegan or unincorporated Lake County, I'd like some things to possibly be considered. One of the application items is it compatible with the comprehensive plan? It's not even in the comprehensive plan, this particular parcel, but the closest that I found was East Grand Gateway Goal. Widen existing sidewalks and provide landscape buffers from traffic lanes and create pedestrian amenities, pedestrian scale lighting, annexing land to rezone commercial car wash. How would you enforce that the landscaping would immediately shield the surrounding properties from these types of things and allow the family that was mentioned before to have their privacy? Would it be a mason wall? A wooden fence will not do it. Would it be a fence, a mason wall? How high would it need to be? The landscapers, would there be a way to work within that to have mature landscaping of some sort that immediately shields the neighbors? Not the small kind that will do it within a number of years, but the petitioner said and put in writing that the petitioner will follow all of the zoning recommendations. So those might be two ways to merge the immediate residents who touch the property with the petitioner. The petitioner has mentioned that the petitioner will be willing to put the entrance on Green Bay. Could that be a condition that only, and that deals with the safety in the application, that the application would only be accepted with mature landscaping, a mason wall instead of a wooden fence, the only entrance and exit being on Green Bay, the petitioner working with the government for a left turn signal or possibly cutting into the petitioner's own property to make a left turn lane, shrinking their square footage in order to do that. And so, although I hear the residents immediately nearby, and I wouldn't want this to touch my property, if Gurnee decides to keep it within Gurnee for Gurnee controls. I also agree with the water. What would be the measures? I've had my street closed because of water main breaks. The east side of Gurnee's water infrastructure, as is mentioned at the village board, is older than the west side. That's why I think there's been some village board discussions about upgrading the water treatment, and I'm not a water treatment expert, but that area is older. Belle Plaine has been closed because of water main breaks repeatedly. Other streets in the area have been closed because of water main breaks before we add another car wash. So would a condition be that the petitioner would be financially responsible for upgrading the water main that's tied into Gurnee, because the petitioner is choosing Gurnee as the place to ask for it first? Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, at this time, I'm going to close the floor to the public, and we'll plow through this the best we can. There were several questions about jurisdiction. If the village would annex the property, it would be under Gurnee Police Department review, Fire Department review, and I assume the snow plowing as well.
Yes, that's, excuse me, that's correct. Right now, admittedly, and I was talking with the Public Works Director about this earlier, it is a mess in terms of the jurisdiction, specifically with the snowplow. This would essentially extend the entire, as you head east on Crescent, it would go all the way to Green Bay Road, and then IDOT would take over, but Gurnee would take over that section of, I don't want to call it no man's land, but for lack of a better term, that would be cleared up there.
Okay. And there were some questions about property taxes. The Village of Gurnee does not assess a real estate tax, so this would have no impact on your real estate tax bills at all. There were questions about gaining attention, like searchlights and things like that. The village has very strict ordinances against attention-getting devices. Substation issue?
I guess I'll speak generally about the engineering questions that were brought up. They are going to have to conform with all of our engineering standards. The proposal was reviewed by our engineering staff twice, once back in 2022 when it was first contemplated. There were a variety of comments relative to water treatment quality, and addressing the water main. The petitioner would have to extend the existing water main using an 8-inch main. And then, I feel like I'm missing something else.
There was some
Oh.
question about monitoring the waste.
Based on the review I have, they have kind of a generic water quality treatment along with hydrocarbon removal will be required per WDO requirements.
There were a lot of questions about traffic in general and some concerns. Do we have the option of doing the Green Bay?
So by pursuing the Green Bay Road access, we sort of fundamentally, if we eliminate the Crescent Avenue ingress, we fundamentally shift the site plan that was presented to us tonight. If we go down that road, I think staff would recommend a continuance to work with the petitioner to look and see how that would actually flow on a site plan, because that's going to have effects with the entire plan as a whole.
And there was also a related question, assuming the Green Bay thing doesn't work, is there the opportunity to expand turn lanes at Crescent?
The opportunity is there. That involves coordination with IDOT as it intersects with Green Bay Road. That's their jurisdiction. And that's a larger permit than we would have authority to grant. So the potential is there theoretically, but it's a long process at that point.
Okay. What am I missing here? There was a question about the business attraction consultant, but that's outside of our purview.
I can answer that question really quickly. This property is not currently located in the village. This is not a property that was considered with that consultant.
And there was a question about the ownership of the current ownership status of the property.
I'll defer to the petitioner as it's currently in an LLC.
We are currently under contract, and it is contingent to approval for a wash.
There were questions about sound levels, but I thought the testimony during the presentation addressed sound levels.
That's correct, and if they exceed village standards, this is one of the things of it being developed in Gurnee versus another jurisdiction. As part of their special use, they have to conform to all of the village's standards. I don't know what the standards are of the city of Waukegan or unincorporated Lake County for that matter.
I do not. No, I do not.
Oh, you did not? Okay. David? Or Todd?
Yes. Since we're considering zoning and then we're considering special permit, can we approve a zoning map so that it would be part of the village of Gurnee no matter what? So they can't go and have the setbacks that the county has or the village of Waukegan has, so that the property is more restrictive. And then we can work with them for the special permit once they redesign it and everything of that nature. Is that a possibility?
I don't think it really gets us to the intended goal, because as the petitioner stated, their purchase contract is contingent on the village approving special use permit for the car wash. We can't really recommend a zoning map amendment for unincorporated Lake County because the village has the authority, only the village board has the authority to annex property. So,
okay.
Long answer to your question is
No.
We can't do that.
So based on a lot of what I've heard tonight, the preponderance of concern seems to be tied, to the traffic and to the immediate impact for those specifically closest to the property. And while it's been characterized as residential, I would also respectfully say Green Bay Road is commercial. A lot of Green Bay Road is commercial. So we're torn because it's both, okay? And in a lot of instances, if we had the ability to have a clean slate, we would probably try to find a way to create a larger buffer between those type of uses. But the reality is we don't have that slate. So we work with it as best we can. So a couple of things that I would be more in favor of would be the Green Bay access, because all arrows point to massive problems with Crescent. And so while it's not my dollars being spent, it just seems like a lot of people would win if we restricted access to Crescent and move this commercial access to the commercial corridor, which is Green Bay Road. Number two, if we have the ability to work with that western boundary, the western portion of the property to do more, could there be more done to better protect those to the immediate west? And again, if petitioner maybe can address the amount of real estate available on the west side to perhaps enhance what's being done currently or being proposed currently to...
I think we already said there was going to be an 80-foot buffer.
Okay, so within that 80 feet, do we have the ability, let's say, to berm it a little bit to enhance the height so that something could be placed on top of a berm, including more mature landscaping or a better sound barrier or something like that? Again, I'm not an engineer, so I don't know if that's even possible, but I'm just trying to kick things out there that I think if we're trying to find a way to find a middle ground here and get the best we can get out of this, that's just something that came into my head as well. So those are the only two comments I had.
If I could address that?
Sure.
So I did ask the landscape architect because I heard that all we had pitched is 33-foot landscaping, and I got a bill for it and it's close to $300,000. So I was kind of like shocked that that's what we had. But the trees that are going in, they maximize the amount of actual trees that can be put in this in that section where they don't grow into each other. And he said that they're 50-foot tall mature. Evergreens are 50-foot tall mature evergreens. Now, so to your recommendation, we would be okay with either two things: a berm, which is a solution to us having to dispose a lot of dirt we may dig up, build it up high, put trees on that, or be told to have more mature trees, maybe 10-foot minimum, 8-foot minimum, 9-foot, 10-foot minimum trees to be planted so that way they have at least a 10-foot buffer before they hit the 50 feet, an immediate 10 feet. We're okay to that too. I love the berm idea. and building on top of the berm.
So if I could, tonight, the PZB essentially has three different options or three different outcomes. We're either going to be approving the motion, which I have a very basic motion up on the screen with conditions, it sounds like, denying the petition, recommending denial of the petition, or continuing the petition. If we're thinking about continuing the petition, I think it would be helpful for the petitioner to provide any feedback that you would want to see on a follow-up set of plans, so that way they know exactly the direction we're looking for.
And I'm hearing that you're suggesting a continuance because we really want to pursue the Green Bay thing.
If that's the direction of the PZB and we want to see the elimination of the Crescent Avenue ingress egress and exclusively that move to Green Bay Road, I think that fundamentally changes a lot of the site features on
I
their
think we
site
could work
plan.
with the current site features, and we're okay with doing the Green Bay piece too. But if you want to continue it, we can continue and do the berm idea, a little more mature trees, and then get that access in off of Green Bay.
Realistically, easy for me to say, realistically, how much?
I'll defer to the petitioner.
And we have meetings on the first and third Wednesdays of the month.
4 weeks.
4 weeks.
4 weeks, August 19th?
Yep.
August 19th.
Do you have any-
No, nothing else is on the agenda.
Okay, then a motion to continue this meeting to August 19th would be in order.
So moved?
I was wondering if I could bring one more thing up. People were talking about the sound barrier.
Yeah.
Didn't the car wash on Washington and Club put in sound barrier walls?
Walls or
There was some kind of material that was sound barrier. We had residential, we had residential to the north and east. But anyway.
You are correct. They do have some type of a sound barrier wall at that location.
That would be something.
maybe look at the pros and cons of whatever material that is versus the board-on-board fence that they discussed earlier.
I'll second the motion to continue.
So we have a motion to second. Any discussion? The roll call, please.
Blair.
Yes.
Campbell.
Yes.
Nordentoff.
Aye.
Paff.
Aye.
Morgan.
Yes.
Stevens.
Yes.
Sula.
Yes. So what that means for you all is that this meeting, we're not going to decide anything this evening. We're going to meet again on August 19th.
That's correct.
And everything that was said today will be incorporated by reference in that next meeting, and then we'll deliberate on the new material at the next meeting. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. And it sounds like we don't have anything anticipated for the 5th.
That's correct. Nothing for the 5th. That meeting will be canceled.
Okay. So there's an opportunity for public comment for something that wasn't on the agenda. I'll close the floor to the public. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.